Hey, we've had a pretty nice little push up and rally here in the grain market, specifically on the corn and soybean side. So we want to talk about the fence strategy again, highlight some of the pros, some of the cons, and why the margin associated with selling a call might not be a bad thing. We'll go through that here in just a minute. But as always, keep in mind everything we're talking about in the video is for education and example purposes. Make sure that you guys know your own risk tolerance as we go through this information. Like we said, we're going to talk fence strategies. You should be pretty familiar with them by now, but in case you aren't, we just want to quickly review what they are. It's essentially buying a put and selling a call against physical bushels. This is a hedge strategy. So typically you go out and buy a put and then you say, hey, it's a little more expensive than I want to spend. How can I cheapen the cost of that put up for that downside protection? Well, you do that by selling a call and collecting the premium. So earlier today, we had March futures at about 436. You could buy a March 420 put for around 20 cents. You could sell the 460, collect 15, bringing your net cost of the position down to 5. Now keep in mind, this is a marginal position that you likely will have to deposit additional cash in your margin account, especially if the market goes higher. But like I said, let's talk about why that may not be a bad thing. A lot of this is going to come down to your mindset. When you're putting a fence position on, you're deferring a pricing decision. Now, you guys are familiar with deferring pricing decisions. You guys do it all the time when you're putting your grain in storage, or you're using free DP, or you're paying commercial storage, etc. Okay, when you're electing not to make a sale, you're essentially deferring the decision, looking for a higher price. The thing about a fence position is it gives you that downside price floor and protection, so you're not freezing if the market breaks or panic selling on a down move. But at the same time, to trade off some of that, you do have to be willing to let your bushels go at a fixed higher price. And that's where these margin calls come into play, right? As the market goes higher, you're going to be on call. That sold call is obviously going to go against you. What you need to consider is, rather than making a decision to sell at 436 here today, you're possibly selling at 460 down the road. I think most guys would rather have a 460 sale than a 436 sale. Again, too, you also have some flexibility with this position. We've seen it before where the market comes down, your put's in the money. Not only can you lift out of that call, but if, let's say, you have storage, and now that we're in a carry market, you could lift out of that put position as well. Set yourself some sort of stop loss in case the market continues to go lower. Otherwise, you could roll and sell your bushels out ahead and pick up some additional carry while keeping some of that gain from your put position. Same thing if the market goes higher, you could always roll these ahead to a deferred month, capture some carry, and potentially maybe even a higher price. So you aren't committing any bushels to an elevator. You're staying in control using the board. Like I said, the biggest trade-off in here is going to be that potential for cash margin. Here's front month corn. Since the first of the year, we have not had a weekly close above that 465 area. We've hit 475, but no closes higher than 465. So for us, it's reasonable to sell a 460 call. It's something that we could live with, as front month corn has really struggled to move much above that. Now, as we go over to the bean side, things are a little bit different. We did look at a 1040 and 1160 fence position, and I think we're still okay with that, even though beans have spent some time here on the front month contract above 1160. When we consider making a sale 40 cents above the market, we think that's a good problem to have, trading off some price protection on a down move. What our biggest fear here on the bean market isn't necessarily if the market goes higher, it's what if it goes lower and being forced to sell, sub $10 beans. That's where having a put in place could certainly be beneficial. So wrapping everything up here, like we said, the fence strategy really offers diversified protection. It helps you set a price floor, again, so you don't freeze if the markets break and wonder what to do, or you don't panic sell. But at the same time, you also have an upside target. We have to think about how many times has the market rallied and guys fail to do anything on a rally, and all of a sudden the market comes back. Now, typically you are going to need this call to expire out of in the money in order to get that higher price. But again, we think it's reasonable to have these price targets up there, challenge the market and say, hey, come and get this. I'm willing to take a higher sales price than what I have going for me today. Keep in mind, you don't need to do this on all your bushels. We always talk about third. You could do 4 quarters, whatever you're comfortable with. Make sure you're looking at this from the right frame of mind. Typically, the biggest pushback we get on this is the cash margin. But again, you really have to ask yourself, if you're giving up a sale today, like we said at 436, with the potential for 460 and you have to pay some margin on that, is it really a bad thing? That's going to differ for each individual. As always, you have to ask yourself, what can you live with? What are you comfortable with? What's your risk tolerance? And of course, what is your knowledge base on these positions? So if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to help. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We'll be back with another video here for you next week.